Well, hello everyone. Welcome to another week, which means another round of 10-ish minutes burst of innovation. It is so good to see you all there. Hey, Carolyn, good to see you. You have a question after live stream, so I'm not sure what that's about. You might need to expand on that for me, but I am here and you are here. It is so good to see you all. Today, we're going to be talking about getting past the things that are out of our control and expanding our sense of control by finding that space of influence and innovation. That's often the place that we actually miss, or maybe don't even realize that we have the opportunity to innovate, to think differently. And there's incredible opportunity there. So today, what I want to do is dig into that so you can expand your sense of control and also expand your opportunities for innovation. Now, welcome. I got a stream going here. So if you got something to say, you've got a question, you've got a comment, those of you who have been with me for a while, you know I love the interaction. So bring it on. The more we converse back and forth, the stronger we all get, the more innovative we all get. So don't be afraid to put something in the chat bar. If you want me to know who you are, I think you just have to let StreamYard know your name so that I can see it. All right, let's dig in. So how to go from out of control to a place of innovation and influence. I've got a little bit of the why and the how behind it. I've got some slides for you, and I've got two stories that I hope will help you think a little bit differently. And I really believe that this is exactly the right week to be having this conversation and to be talking about this. So I hope you come to this one in particular with a really open mind and an expansive view of what's possible in your world. I want you to think about shutting down that lizard brain that we all know has this incredible desire to be like, no, Tamara, that will never work. No, Carolyn, that's a horrible idea. No, Mia, you have no control over here. No, Kirby, that's not a place that you can exert any level of control. Because the truth is, we actually can when we understand this. So I want to actually, let me show you the slides first. Let me put on my glasses so that I can actually see it. I want to show you this because I want to talk a little bit about how it works. And then I want to dig into the two stories that, like I said, I think will help you think a little bit differently. So let me switch it up. Okay, hopefully you can all see my screen. I think typically when we think of the world, right, we come from this mental map of things are either in my control or they're out of my control. And I think we're often told to like, just worry about what's in your control. Don't worry about what's out of your control. Kind of like, you know, when you're on an airplane and it's running late. I mean, you have no control over that, right? Like there's nothing you can do unless you're the pilot or a traffic control, right? There's nothing you can do. And I get that. But I think we unfortunately then apply that to everything in our world and the places where we actually have an opportunity to apply some influence. So this is how I think we normally see the world, right? These are the things that are in my control. I will deal with this. Things like my response, my attitude, my perception, managing my own emotions, my opportunity to innovate inside my head, all very great. But then everything else is out of our control. Now, as you can see from this screen, there's a lot of space, right, in that out of control. Put in the comments, like how many of you have that feeling of like there are some things totally in my control and then there are some things totally out of my control? Who has that feeling? She loved the mug, by the way. It felt just right for Monday morning. Put it there. Who has that? Yeah. Right? It's so easy. Like, all right, here's my small world of control. Here's my bigger world of out of control. I want us to flip the script on this. And I want us to think about a different view that allows us more room for not just control and full control, but also for influence. Oops. I'm going to switch out what I just did. Sorry. Hold on one second. Give me a second. I don't know what I just did, but I took you away, which is not in any way what I meant to do. There you are. Oh, now you guys can all see my screen. Hold on one second. Let me find what I'm looking for. I don't even know how I just did that. Oh, new tech. By the way, can I just tell you this morning, actually, I think this adds to the story, kind of funny. You can still see my screen, right? You can see it a little differently. Okay, so let me play from the start. Let me get this going. So this morning, I don't know, I'm not going to do it this way. I'm not sure what's happening. This morning, I don't know if you know this, but Zoom went down and people were panicking and talk about things feeling out of your control, right? Okay, I'm going to stop the share screen. I'm going to fix this because I want you to see this in the right way. Yeah, so Carolyn says, absolutely. Yeah, right. It's so easy to have that like feeling of just being out of control or in control, but nothing in between. So we want to flip that a little bit. And what I'm talking about here is this room for influence. Oh man, this is driving me nuts. I'm sorry, guys. Clearly, this is, okay, I'm just gonna go back to the other slide. Clearly it's not my morning for this. So this is how Monday's gonna go, huh? Okay. So Mia says, yeah, control my mindset, out of control, how people react to me and my ideas. Totally. That is a great example of that, Mia. So here's the thing I want us, though. I'm going to go to this slide. Here's the thing I want us. I had all these beautiful animations. You're not going to see any of them. That's okay. The point is there. So we go from in control, right, always to out of control, right? In control and out of control, and that's it. But guess what? There's this whole space in between that's called influence. And when you find the place of influence, you actually expand your ability to control and drive the outcomes you're looking for and the innovation. There's incredible space, and you push what's out of control a little bit further out. So, excuse me. So I want to share two stories with you because I think I wrote these down because I didn't want to miss them. I think these really bring to life how, when you think about, okay, not what can I turn out of my control to control? Because frankly, I think that's hard, right? Like, I think it's exhausting. I think when we think about that, we start spinning our wheels. But when you flip it and you think, wait a minute, what can I influence today? Not what can I control? That's different. What can I influence? You can get incredible innovation and outcomes that you're looking for. So let me share two examples with you. So the first is one of my own, and I think some of you were there for my book launch back in, what was that, May, beginning of May. And that was at the exact time that we were in for real, serious lockdown, right? And here we are. I'm trying to launch a book. Amazon is the space I'm trying to launch it. And I talked to my publisher, and she tells me, oh, Tamara, here's the thing. Amazon is deprioritizing anything that's not essential. So if you weren't a face mask, hand sanitizer, toilet paper, or if you weren't one of those, you weren't getting shipped. On some books, they had taken off the buy button completely. And I was like, okay, what Amazon does, I think we can all agree, right, is out of my control. Then I'm talking to my publisher and I said, well, can you take individual orders? And they said, no, we can't do that. We can only take bulk orders. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Like, I'm supposed to be launching this book. I don't want to wait to launch it. I believe the world needs the book. And right, like now's the time, right? We need innovation and our ability to innovate more than ever. And there I am with Amazon deprioritizing things that aren't essential and a publisher that only sells like in bulk, right? And in boxes of only 20. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So I'm talking to my team. I'm talking to Laura on my team, who's my business manager, who some of you may have met. And I'm telling Laura, like, Laura, we got a problem here. Like, all this stuff is happening and it is in that outside circle. It is out of our control. And she goes, okay, well, she's so calm. I love her. She goes, okay, well, we can't control that, but can we influence how it's done? And I said, what do you mean? She goes, well, what if we did this? What if we talked to the publisher about doing some kind of team deal so that anyone during your, we did this big virtual launch, all day global party. I think we called it the book launch extravaganza. It was awesome, right? We did 3 different times, 3 different time zones. It was amazing. She said, but what if we do this? What if for anyone who wants to buy during book launch day, She goes, we're not going to get the team sales on Amazon to drive up, kind of your ranking. She said, but we don't want people to miss out. So what if we do a deal with the publisher where they can call the publisher directly? I was like, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. She goes, okay, and what if with Amazon, we can't control what they do, but what if we guide people and we give them something ahead of time so that they buy it, but they can't get the book shipped? We give them some kind of starter kit that's going to kind of bridge that gap between now and then. So we couldn't change Amazon. That's out of our control. We couldn't change the publisher, also out of our control, but we influenced how the people we were engaging with across the globe got to experience the book, and we influenced how they were able to purchase it. Put in the comment section, what can you influence? What in your world maybe seemed out of control, like an Amazon of the world, but you can actually influence? I want to go back to my slide for a second. Remember, there's control, like Mia said, like my mindset, my actions, my behavior, my internal world. There's out of control, sometimes how other people respond. Amazon, bureaucracy, maybe the world around us changing, COVID, pandemic, social unrest. Like a lot of this feels out of our control right now, right? But there's this space of influence that we often forget about, where we can actually drive a lot of really great innovation and new opportunities. Mia, thank you, right? Isn't that a great story? And I got to give Laura all the credit because I'm over here in a panic, like my book, right? Like my primal brain is, I call him Bernard. He's panicking on me. I want to share one other story with you because I think this one is really good too. And it's from one of my clients. Her name is Sandy. And Sandy was feeling super out of control. She felt like that circle of control was getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And the circle that was out of control was kind of squeezing in on her and getting bigger and bigger and bigger, right? She was telling me, she's like, between COVID, work from home, the company was doing some reorganizing and restructuring. There were layoffs happening. Just everything was happening around her. And every turn, she felt like she was getting an email that told her something about a change that was happening that was out of her control. Now, while I'm telling you this story, I want you to be thinking about questions you have for me or insights that could help all of us be stronger innovators. Sometimes, by the way, putting your thoughts of where you can influence and innovate in the chat stream alone just helps, in the comments for you, helps you clarify and really think about and bring to life. I know what happens on these lives sometimes, and I totally get it. You're at your desk and you're like, yeah, Tamara, no, I can influence some stuff. I totally get it. And it's rattling around in your head like, oh, when I think about this, and when I think about my leadership team, or I think about my clients or my work structure. But when it stays rattling around in our head, it actually misses this opportunity to come to life. So while I'm sharing this last story, before I dig into it, I really want you to be thinking about, let me say that differently. I would like you to put in the comments section where you can influence, and I will give away a free Innovation is Everybody's Business book because you deserve it for putting it in the comment section. And if you already have the book, like some of you, here's what I want you to do. I want you to be the influencers and the innovators that help and guide other people. Let's ripple effect innovation out. The more people that innovate, the stronger we all get, and the more problems we'll all be able to solve. What's that old phrase? A rising tide lifts all boats. I'm horrible with phrases, so hopefully that's right. All right. Let me get back on my path about Sandy. So Sandy is right, feeling out of control. COVID, right, work from home, which is not their MO at their company, and frankly, not her favorite way of working. It was hard for them to work without being together, right? The way their company operated, they really needed to be able to interact. So she's struggling, right? And so we have this conversation, and she says, well, I just got to keep my head down because all this stuff is out of my control. So I was like, all right, Sandy, let's walk through this. Let's walk through what's in control and let's walk through what's out of control. And she did this simple exercise of putting that circle on a blank piece of paper, putting all the stuff that's in her control. So things like her mindset, her actions, how she can do her job, how she can show up for her team, how she can deliver results. Like that's all in control. And then she had all that junk, right, out of control. So then we said, okay, Sandy, what can you influence? Right? What can you think differently about and maybe drive some new solutions? And a light bulb went off in her eyes. It was so cool to see. And she said, oh my gosh, I can't change the fact that we're working from home, but I can influence how we do it so that we're all better. And she created these daily huddles where every morning she was always live on whatever platform they used for 20 minutes. And the team could come on and they could talk about best practices and challenges, like whatever was going on in their world. And this little huddle provided inspiration, it provided motivation, it provided best practices so that that thing that was together wasn't lost. It also provided brainstorming for new solutions because people would be like, hey, I've got this challenge I'm not sure what to do with. Because those are the things that we're missing, right, in the company. And the reality is when we're on Zoom meetings all day or whatever it is, that's fine, but we start to get this mindset of just getting through it, right? So what she wanted was a huddle, a real huddle, and that's what she created. She influenced how they worked from home. She didn't change that. That was out of control, that decision. They're still doing it, but she has continued to influence how they do it. All right, so I've got some cool comments here. It says Facebook user, so bear with me. I'm going to show these on the screen for you too, because I think they're so good. So the first one is, I have helped colleagues by bouncing off ideas when a customer has come to them with a priority of driving out costs. Just did this last week. Okay, kudos to you. I love that, right? That you influence how they take action by allowing them that room to bounce off ideas. What a great way to influence is to be a sounding board and a springboard for others. That's how you help influence how they respond as well. That is so good. All right, Facebook user, I will come back to you in a second. All right, I'm gonna switch up to the next one. There's always an opportunity to influence, right? We have to recognize our best opportunities to influence and innovate in a way that makes sense and will be acknowledged. Yeah, we talk a lot in the Everyday Innovators tribe about how do you get buy-in for your ideas? How do you influence and ignite innovation in others? And a big part of that is influence. And I want you to take this incredible comment this person put in here. Sorry, I don't know your name, so you'll have to bear with me, just as Facebook user, because you gotta let StreamYard show your name, unless you want to stay anonymous, which is cool. What was I saying? Oh, I think we have to take our feelings of like we can influence other people to also we can influence other things, other processes, other products, other tools. I think Sandy is a great example of that. And think for a second, just for a moment, think about the combination of being able to influence people, but also processes and outcomes or tools. Think how powerful you are, how valuable you are in today's uncertain and changing times. I have to tell you, I've been asked a lot lately to do a virtual keynote, anything from 20 minutes to actually 2 hours on how to lead during uncertain times. And what that really is about is how to help have a strong and valued voice and how to influence and ignite innovation in others, right? How to step up your game so that innovation isn't a point in time exercise so that to this point you're being recognized and valued, but also how to do that for others too. Okay, not only can we drive down costs, we can improve margins. Yeah, totally, right? Like think about it from both angles. One part of influence that comes up is thinking about it from all different perspectives. So good, okay. Oh yeah, got it, yeah. Okay, sorry, Paul, I didn't mean to put that on the screen. Okay, Paul, was that your comment before? Paul just said like, well, hold on, let me read what Paul said. Sorry, you guys are so good. It's like moving so fast. My profile fit. Okay, that's because I believe that I can influence in connecting the dots, people to people, organizations to people, groups to others, et cetera, that could bring new solutions. Yeah, connecting the dots in new and meaningful ways is really important to innovation. And it's an incredible skill. We actually have this video that I did in our library that talks about how to elevate information to insights. Anyone can deliver information. The value is in the insights, and that's harder to see. So that's a great comment. This last person said, oh, that wasn't your comment. Okay, influence happens best when you listen to others. Yes. Okay, I'm going to go back. So I don't know who this was. You're going to have to either tell me your name now or just DM me later. So I'm putting it in for you. You get the book. Woo! One of the keys of innovation is putting yourself out there and being one of the first to be willing to do that. So whoever you are, kudos to you. You let me know if you already have the book. I'll find another way to reward you. I'm all about rewarding those who take action. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And Mia's got great comments. Let me add this up here really quickly. When Mia says, when clients and customers push back, give them the gift of control. I love the way you said that. By allowing them to contribute and strengthen your ideas, everyone wants to contribute. Okay, Mia, you're speaking my language. We're going to have to do a whole nother 10-minute burst on this because, I'm all about speaking the language of innovation and really getting people on board for the journey versus pushing our brilliance onto them. And that's about asking questions at the end of your quote unquote presentations that get people to help you move the idea forward versus just vote your idea up or down. All right. Oh, okay. So Sarah was one of the comments and Brian was the other. Got it. Okay. So whoever was the one that did the first one, tell me, DM me later or message me later and I'll get you hooked up. All right, everyone. I just wanted to say thank you. I got a little off topic with some of the other stuff, but our conversation just kind of rolled there, which I absolutely love. This week, one of the big things I want you to think about is let me go back to my little screen here, is how do we go from control and out of control to the space of influence that expands it and allows for incredible opportunity. If you need me to put that slide back on the screen so you can take a picture of it, I'm happy to. One of the things I've discovered as a leader is showing that simple chart to people who are maybe feeling a little bit out of control or maybe a little bit just not able to see the opportunity, is showing them that with the control, influence, and out of control really helps them. And I think the feedback I've gotten is part of the reason why is it allows them to breathe a little bit easier and to see that there's this space between control and out of control. We know we can't change the stuff out of our control. And it's really frustrating. Like my Amazon example is great. One of that. There was nothing I was going to do as a tiny little me with my one little book that was going to change Amazon not shipping books, right? They were overwhelmed in their own world. That was never going to happen. So if you tried to get me to innovate against that, I'm going to hit a bunch of brick walls. Your team is in the same space. So if you can find a way to give them the space to think about how to influence things, it lets them breathe easy and it lets them find the space and it expands their feeling of control. That allows for innovation. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining me for today's 10-ish minute burst of innovation. So good to see you all. I will be back on Wednesday with another one, and we will just keep digging in and digging in. All right. I'm going to stay on for a second. There was one question before that I wanted to get to. Excuse me, if you have to drop, sorry, it's what happens when I talk all day. If you have to drop off, great, but let me just get to the question. The question was what if the person let me read it. My glasses on. Put in the comment section though comment section, what you got out of today, because that's what I love to know. And again, that's what holds us accountable for taking action is owning what we learned, what our insight was. It also helps everybody else around you. So the question is, what if I have someone that absolutely doesn't feel like they have any control? And no matter what I do, they seem to find an excuse to not do something. All right, so I'm going to go to a slightly different place. And you asked this question privately, so I'm going to keep your name out of it. Thank you for asking, because I know that that's a question that might be percolating in the back of some of our brains of like, yeah, but I got those people on my team who, no matter what I do, they're not, I don't know, I can't move them. Well, there's a lot of things that we can do to unlock people's sense of control, sense of innovation, sense of contribution, sense of value and recognition. So the first thing I'd say is make sure that they are really being recognized, that the value and the contributions and the thinking that they bring to the table are heard and valued. Sometimes as leaders, we overlook that. We think it's obvious, right? Like they did their job. I don't need to comment on that every time. Maybe not every time, but you do need to comment. And you do need to make sure that they recognize it. It's a lot like, I don't know, what's a good analogy for this? It's a lot like losing weight. You get on the scale and you're like 1 pound gone. Woo, I'm going to keep going. 2 pounds, I'm going to keep going, right? They need small wins. That's the point I'm trying to make here. We all need small wins to keep going and keep going and keep going. I have this the way my sticky notes are set up, by the way, for my goals on my bathroom mirror are in a series of sticky notes. So like for the Facebook group, for example, first it said 10 members and then they're stacked, right? The second sticky note said 25 members, then it said 50 members, and then it said 75, and then it says 100, and then it says 200, right? And it goes up and up and up because I want it to be really high. Same with like the Everyday Innovator Tribe. Like when we release it when we allow new members in at the kind of end of September, right? I've got like my sticky notes. And the reason I mention that is it allows me to pull off the little win when I do it and kind of put it aside versus waiting for the big win. So if you've got a person who never feels in control, part of that can be that they don't have enough small wins to actually get them to the bigger things, right? Or to make them feel valued enough to keep going. Our brain likes recognition and value. We need to be heard. We need to be valued. So that's one thing. That's one way to look at it. Here's the other thing I'd say though, and this is the hard truth. You guys ready for it? Do you want to know like my kind of like brass tacks about in and out of control? I think there's incredible room for innovate. I think that there's here's what I want you to think about. When you're dealing with these types of people, there's two types of people. There is people who are internal locus of control, right? I control my world. Varying degrees of that, but generally speaking, right? Internal locus of control. It's inside to out. There are some people out there who have an external locus of control. Things happen to them, right? It doesn't mean they're positive or negative, but the world happens to them versus internal locus of control, which is I happen to the world. And I would really encourage you to take a look to see if, are you dealing with a person who needs small wins and needs to kind of bridge that gap, as Paul said, between out of control and in control, or if you've got an internal versus external locus of control. I find it's been my experience that most of us actually have an internal locus of control. That is actually the majority of the world, but some of us need it to be sparked before we can really see that. Some of us have been beaten down enough over life, over work, over our ideas being shot down, that we need a little push, a little recognition, a small win to kind of get us back into that space. So to you that asked the question, and to all of us really pay attention. Like, does this person have an internal control and they just need to open it up, expand that space, really recognize it again, really value it again? Or do they maybe have an external locus of control? And I'm not saying that that's necessarily bad, but you got to apply that a little bit differently. I think the beauty of this model right here that I just showed you is that no matter where you are, you can find the space of influence. So whether you come from an out of a control starting point or an in control starting point, you can find that space of influence. And I cannot emphasize enough the power of small wins. All right, everybody. Oh, Judy Journey equals Sarah. I know, I love it. Your name on Facebook is the best ever. It just makes me happy. All right, everybody. Thank you. For the person that won, because I just said Facebook user, please do me a favor and message me so that I know who you are. Love this comment about, yeah, I like how you said that. It's bridging the gap. That's what we want to do. And instead of having a brick wall between in control and out of control, which is how most of us see it, because that's how we're trained to see it. It's not like, it's just how kind of we've been told, right? Like here's in, here's out, focus on in. I want you to think about that bridge being that space of influence. It expands what we're capable of. All right, everybody. Happy Monday. Let's get to it. Tamara out. Oh, I'll be online for a little while longer. So if you have other comments or questions on this or want to share this with people who need to see it, tag them in there. I'll be off and online all day. All right. This time I mean it. Tamara out.